Hey everyone, welcome to the new session on Indian education system, the doing the analysis for EDA, right? So before start the session, just let me confirm that I am audible or not. If I am audible, then please put a yes comment to the live chat for that we can start the session. And in the meantime, let me introduce that Great Learning has came up with the idea of Great Learning Academy. In the website, you can say here you will get almost 80 plus free courses, and after complete your course you can claim your certificate as well. And there are few live courses going on recently for the college student, so you can explore these sites as well, right? And for the live session we are doing over here, you can take all the material whatever we are going to use for this particular session, or the session you have already attained or already done. You can go for using them as well. And yeah, you can just go and just skill up yourself using Great Learning Academy, right? And yeah, it's pretty about Great Learning Academy. Now let's go. Today's session is all about analysis of Indian education system. So I think I'm audible. uh, okay, I can see yes. So I can understand that I am audible then for you guys. And also for this particular part, we are going to do this session in a very interactive way. We will first try to understand the theory, and then we will go for understanding the practical itself, right? So yes, Shashank, a fresher also get the data analysis job. So basically, data analysis or exploratory data analysis, that in short known as EDA, it's like you have to understand the concepts itself. So being it a fresher, being it a experienced person, all a company wants that you need to know how to do the data analysis, how to read their data basically, right? I hope you got your answer, Shashank. Right. So this is the particular topic we are going to cover today. So we are going to take a data set as well from Kaggle, which is a publicly available data set. Let's go to agenda and let's have a look at what are the topics we are going to cover. Right. So first we are going to talk about one basic thing, that is data science. Right. So why do we need to have a data science? Right. So why we are doing this exploratory data analysis, which is a part of data science. Okay. Then we will have a look at what is data science. Then we will see what is the life cycle of data science, being a data scientist or being a data analyst. What are the things you need to do? Then we will see some of the important statistical terms that is needed for exploratory data analysis, right? Then I will show you how can you install Python in your system. And lastly, we will do the demo on exploratory data analysis on Indian education system, right? Okay, so let's get start with this, guys. So how many of you have understood, or how many of you have heard the term data science? If you can give me a quick heads up on that. Right. If you can give me a quick heads up on that, how many of you have a basic understanding of what is data science, right? So just give me an idea about that, guys. And also please be interactive in this all over the session, because I want, if you actually interact with the session, you will learn more, right? Okay. Kashyap, hi Kashyap, how are you? Okay, I know you know this data science. Shashank, okay. That's really nice, Harshal. I think this particular course will help you. Not the course, this particular session will help you. Okay, so what is data science, right? So I will give you a very quick heads up on what is data science, and then we will go for the other parts of the project itself, because we are going to do a big project today. So yeah, it's going to take a lot time, so I'm not going to go for lots of theory. So first we will have a basics understanding of data science, and then we will have a look at the basics understanding, the basics of statistical terms you need to know, right? So these are the things you need to have a look at before start with the project we are going to do. So basically, in the past, what we used to have, in the past we used to have a data in a structured format. Now we will see what are the structured format we were talking about. So basically structured format are nothing but when you have a data in a very limited way, and when there is a person or a human being, there is a human touch who actually insert the data, that is more acceptable. The data are in a structured format. But as we are moving towards the online, online transaction, online shopping, online cab booking, everything is an online, right? So maybe you are going for shopping, or maybe you are going for booking your cab, right? Everything is you are doing online, and all the respective companies are actually taking your data to focus their business, to have a good understanding about their business. So in this case, what they are going to do, they actually store all the data. But when the data is storing by the machine itself, and there is no human touch, right? There is no human sitting and just inserting the data. That time it is quite expected the data is not in the structured format. The data will be in an unstructured way, right? So in this case, what actually happening, so when we have the traditional tools or the traditional way of understanding our data, the structured data, but when we have a huge amount of data in a very a huge amount of data in a very messy way or unstructured way, that time those traditional tools are not able to handle them. That time the concepts comes into the picture, that is named as data science, right? So I hope you understand what's the reason behind we need the data science, right? So basically it helps us to reduce the production cost, it helps us to process a big amount of data, huge amount of data. Also it's help us to understand or forecast a particular business, right? So this is the reason why do we need data science. Okay, now we will have a look at what is data science. So data science, basically it's a whole process to get some meaningful information, right? From the explanation of the need of the data science, you understand that data science is a whole process, right? So it's to get some meaningful information from a bunch of data. Okay, so here, so in simple words you can say to read and study your data to get a proper intuitive insights, right? And the machine learning, deep learning, these concepts are used to discover those hidden patterns that from this raw and unstructured data. Not only the deep learning and the machine learning concepts, we use exploratory data analysis itself to basically understand those hidden patterns. We will look into that as well, right? So I hope you understand about what is data science, what are the raw data we were talking about, what are the hidden patterns we are talking about. Any doubt till so far? uh Guys, don't spam in the live chat, this is my request to you guys. Okay. Sunny, if you know R, that's perfectly fine to go with data science. Akshay, I just explained data science if I'm not wrong. Uh, right. So I hope there is no doubt till so far about what is data science and why do we need data science. Right. I can see there is no such questions. So now if we go and move further, then we will have a look at the life cycle of data science, right? So what is the life cycles to being a data scientist, being a data analyst, being a data architect, right? So the first reason, right? So the first reason is understand the business problem. Let me give you an idea about what is understanding a business problem. Suppose you are a data scientist in Swiggy or Zomato or some other new startups, right? So here, or not even the startup, if you go for any particular company, who actually all the companies are currently using machine learning, deep learning, and these artificial intelligence techniques to understand and focus their business. So you can see there is a huge hike or huge surge in the recruitment for data science, right? So what is the reason behind it? Suppose being a data scientist or a data architect or a data analyst, they are asking you to, hey, I am going to give my data, a confidential company data to you, and from those data you have to make a report. So there is a separation for data analyst and a separation for data scientist. When you are a data analyst, you need to know the data a proper way. You need to make a report out of it. After you make the report, a data scientist will look into your report and will decide what mechanism will go with this data, right? So this is the basic reason, right? This is the basic reasons of understanding data analyst or a data scientist part. So basically, suppose they give you a data and they said, hey, what is the coming forecast, like please forecast the sales, what is the coming sales we can have in our company, right? Maybe it's a Zomato, maybe it's a Swiggy. So maybe that time you will go for, okay, you gave me the problem that I need to look into the what are the thing I need to make a good, understanding, that from there I can say, hey, you have to focus on these parts to make a huge sale, right? Maybe you can give a good number of discounts on a particular restaurant, or you can go for giving a free gift, right? So anything you can do with like having your profit to like increase the sales, right? So being a data scientist, by looking at the data, by doing the analysis of the data, you have to understand that, right? So now after you have data, but data acquisition, so first you understand the business problem, then you go for data acquisition. What is data acquisition? Nothing but data collection. You have to collect the data. So they already will give you the data. Now if you say, wait, the company is already given me the data, but if there is more data, I can analyze in a more good way. So you will try to collect data from different sources. It can be any source, you can collect those data. So more data you have, the more information you have, because we know data is the new oil, right? So after collecting your data, you will go for data cleaning. This is the most time consuming part when we talk about this is particular data cleaning, because your data can have lots of noise, your data can have lots of misspelled attribute, lots of new thing you never even think of, right? Being a data analyst or a data scientist, you have to have a close look into your data to just remove those particular bad thing from your data. Because again, data is informative, data is like a oil, but the data should be cleaned. That then only you will have the particular you can say the value of the data. When your data is a mess, that time it's no use, right? So this is why the data cleaning process takes the most time out of the life cycle of data science, right? After that we go for exploratory data analysis. What is exploratory data analysis? In short, is known as EDA, right? In exploratory data analysis, what we do, we use some statistical concepts. So basically in data science we need to have few things. First, you have to have few pillar. One is linear algebra. You have to have a good idea about linear algebra. You have to have good idea about basics linear algebra, right? Then you have to have idea about statistics, right? So these are the basic things. You have to have a good idea about programming languages. So these are the basic thing: linear algebra, basic statistics, and programming languages. These are the basic things you need to have an idea about to start with data science, right? So exploratory data analysis is nothing but giving some good understanding of the data using some statistics concepts. Then we use, after you make a report out of your data, when you know how your data is looks like, that time you go for applying a machine learning algorithm. There are three types of machine learning we have, right? So maybe in the session we will talk about that. So there are different type of algorithm you will get in machine learning. From there, when you made the model out of it using those data, you will go for predicting your model accuracy by giving the new data, right? After that you will deploy your model. Deploying your model is nothing but someone is like, in the layman term, if you can understand, maybe you will deploying your model in a AWS or some other cloud based mechanism where someone else can go and use your model, right? So this is the whole life cycle of data science. Do you have any do you have any confusion till so far? I know my voice is little low today because I mean, for that I'm really sorry. So yeah, do you have guys any doubt till so far? What is data science? Yeah, so what is data science and what is the life cycles of data science? Okay, what is and how did you explore the data before going for a report? So basically, I don't get your name, but the thing is like, how did you explore the data? But in that case, you have to look at your data. You have to understand what are the null values you have in your data, what are the attributes you have in your data, right? So these are the things you need to look at. Then only you will understand your data. But making a report out of a data, it's a big deal because you need to explore your data a lot. Okay, that's clear. Okay, thanks guys. Then let's have a look at the next part. So after that we are going to look at that most popular programming languages for data science. So basically we use R and Python, but for the database management system we do have SQL. Again we have Informatica, SAS, MATLAB, Java, Python, all are used in, like, they are already connected with data science. So this is pretty about data science. Now we will have a look at the important statistical terms in data science, because this Inapis is asking what is the difference between data science and data analytic. Okay, I will give you the answer. Right, right. So in this so basically I think I'm giving a proper idea and proper example of why do we need data science and what are the examples. So I just start my slides with the example if I'm not wrong, right? So first we are going to talk about few statistical terms like what is data science, what is population, right? Then what is parameter, what is sample, right? What is mean? These are the basic terms you need to know in data science. So let's have a look at starting with what is statistics. So statistics is a part of integrated applied mathematics which deals with data. So who doesn't have idea what is statistics? Statistics is nothing but a part of integrated applied mathematics which deals with data, right? It helps to collect data and analyze them properly. So this is the main need of statistics, right? With the help of statistics we can read the data and organize them in order to get the hidden information from them. Yes, so basically we try to understand, suppose we are going to work with suppose we are going to try to understand a particular transaction is a fraud transaction, is a genuine transaction, because as we go towards credit card we are going towards online transactions using UPI, right? So that time there is a chance of having a fraud transaction because lots of people and like maybe you guys also face some problem on online transaction. There is a lots of hacker, they basically hack your account details and try to take your money from you using those hacking techniques. So from that, if you want to make a model out of it to understand is a particular transaction is a fraud transaction or a transaction is a genuine transaction, that time maybe you need to use a proper mathematical or algorithm, machine learning algorithm, which is basically help you to do that. But before doing that you have to use some statistics concepts to get the anomaly from your data. Those anomalies or the outliers are nothing but the hidden pattern you have in your data set, right? So this is how this statistics works on your data set to give you a hidden information that we will not get by looking at the data. Right now in data science domain, statistics concepts are used to process the complex data to get the insights from them using mathematical computations. I hope you understand what is statistics. It's nothing but to help you is a concepts of integrated applied mathematics to help you to get a proper hidden information from your data set. right? I hope you understand what is statistics. Okay. And guys, if you really like the session, please do hit like it. For that we can understand that okay, whatever we are doing, it's actually helping you as well. So some of you guys are asking me the difference between business analytics and business analyst. So analytics is basically the name itself. You understand that maybe you will work with the Google Analytics to understand what is the traffic for your particular websites, right? What are the things is going good for your particular data, right, for your particular business. So business analytics and analyst are not two different job role, but yes, there are few fine lines are there which makes this two particular part. Business analytics is most working with the Google analytics part, and the business analyst is basically work with the data, right? The data analyst. Business analyst also works with data, but most of the cases basically business analyst works with the data to make a report out of a raw data, right? Mm, yes, okay, right. So now we will have a look at what is population. So suppose you are going to work with a data set, right? Maybe you are going to work with the full data set is given by your company to forecast the sales. This full data set is known as your population. So the name itself, you can understand, population terms in statistics used to refer the total set of observation. Whatever the observation you have, this is known as the population. Suppose if you want to study a diabetes data set to understand the symptoms and the other factors, then the whole data set is referred as the population, right? Now if I just look at the next part, what is parameter? So parameters is referred as the characteristics which describes the population. Now I will ask me, how can we see what are the characteristics which going to refer or the describe my population? So what is population? Population is nothing but, yeah, so population is nothing but your whole data set, right? So parameters are like average and percentage. Suppose you are taking a data set of diabetes, there is a column called age, right? In the age column you want to understand what is the average age, right, for a person of being diabetic. I am not using any tool. Basically I am talking about the statistical terms in data science. Rao, if I am not wrong, your name is Rao, right? I am not talking about any tool. We are talking about the basic terms of statistics which needs as a data scientist, right? So yeah, again, if we come back to the parameters we were talking, the average. So basically for a particular data set, you try to understand what is the age of being diabetic based on the data set. That time your average is going to represent your whole data set, right, or the percentage which is the helps to describe the entire population. So these are the things known as the parameters. Now the mean and the standard deviation are two common parameters of population. Obviously if you want to see the mean of your data set, then also it's representing your whole population, right? So this is about what is parameter. Now if I just look at the next part, that what is sample. So sample is also very important part, also very important, plus you can say it's a simple part. Suppose your whole data set is referred as population. Now if you just take a small part from your data set or your population, this is known as sample. Suppose your whole world is our population. Suppose if you just took whole world as the population. Now if you go for taking a particular state or a particular country data, that time your particular country or the particular state data will be nothing but your sample from the whole world, right? So this is the basic understanding of sample and population. So when I start my journey with EDA, that time I got confused with population and sample. So this is the layman term, you can say that for a population, right, for a population, if you just take whole world as your population, and from there if you just say a particular country will be your like for a particular country you are going to do a EDA, that time this country will be your sample. Because most of the cases what happened, we cannot work with the whole population, we just need to take few sample from the population itself to understand our whole data set, right? So this is what actually sample stands for. Now from the, suppose if we take again the whole diabetes data set, you picked 100 rows of information to do the analysis. That 100 rows of information will be referred as sample, right? Okay, so I hope you understand about what is sample, what is population, and what is statistics. So these are the things are cleared for you guys. If you can give me a quick heads up on that. I can see 54 people are watching and we get only 31 likes, guys. Okay, yes, Vaishnavi, some of the cases from few samples we take from our population to, yeah, to understand our to understand our whole data set, right? Right. Now if we are going to talk about the next part, then we will talk about what is mean. Okay, clear. Okay, so we will talk about what is mean, median, and mode. So mean, median, mode is a very basic terms. If I am not wrong, you guys are already aware of this. It's just a quick heads up and to clear your doubts. So what is mean? Mean referred as average value of the whole population, right? And median is the middle value of the data when your data is in a sorted manner. So always remember, we take median, that is the middle value of the data when your data in a sorted way. Now comes the mode. Mode stands for the most occurring element in the data set, right? So this is the basics of mean, median, and mode. I guess I got okay. Shishank is saying, ma'am, I start with Excel, SQL, Tableau, and then I learn Python. Now, what steps I can take to get a job in data analysis field? I'm a fresher graduate. Okay, so Shishank, I will give your answer in the later in the section. I hope that will help you. Right, okay, now we are going to talk about the types of analysis in statistics. Yes, there is a few types of analysis we have. The basically two types of analysis we have in statistics. One is descriptive statistics, one is inferential statistics. So what is descriptive statistics? It helps to describe the data in a mathematical or a graphical way. So if you want to describe your data in a mathematical or a graphical way, you have to go for descriptive statistics. But inferential statistics, what is that? It splits the data into samples and applies probability to arrive the conclusion. Suppose you have said, hey, I feel this data set is all about this. So to arrive a particular conclusion, it will split your data, basically dividing into data into samples and applies probability, right? So this is about yeah, and guys, don't spam in the live chat. This is something, a request from my side. I try to explain all your doubts, so please don't spam. If you spam, I will miss the actual questions, so don't spam, right? Okay, so yeah, this is all about the types of analysis. Now we will talk about outlier. So how many of you have idea about outlier? If you can give me a quick heads up on that. So do you guys, anyone have idea about outlier? Do you guys, anyone have idea about what is outlier? Why do we go for outlier? What are the advantages of not having outlier in your data, right? Do you have any idea about that? If you can give me a quick heads up on that, then we will talk about what is outlier, why do we need outlier, and what is the having, like, some of the cases you need to have outlier. Yes, Kashyap, I can see you know Prachi also saying I do. Okay, so I can see some of you have idea about what is outliers. Outliers in the data set are referred as usual value, unusual value. So maybe there is some error in your data set, right? So maybe if you have any error in your data set, that time it can be your outlier. Suppose we are taking a data set for predicting a particular person is diabetic or not. So in the case of that, you see like most of the data points you have in your data set from 20 to 40, suddenly you get a number from 90, right? So you have a, yeah, so you have a data set, right? You have a data set where you have data from 20 to 40, but suddenly you get a particular data points, 2 3 data points which are near to 80, 85 or 90, which is going to change your mean value, right? Which is going to change your average, right? Not the mean, it's going to basically change your average for that particular column. So this is something known as the outlier in the data set, right? So which are referred as unusual value which can distort and violate statistical analysis, right? Outliers are basically experimental errors in the data. Some outliers are good for the dataset to detect anomaly, like detecting fraud transaction. Suppose outliers can be there in a two-way in your dataset. Maybe your maybe your dataset is having a error value, or there are some, suppose when we are going to talk about detecting fraud transaction, so all the transaction being a human or not being a human, maybe being a as a person, you want to go for 10,000, 20,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, right, at a time for a transaction. But if it's a fraud transaction, maybe there is a transaction directly for 20 lakh or 30 lakh, right? So that time this will help you to understand, okay, there is something fishy or something is not right, that's why there is a big transaction is happening, right? So whenever you go for making a big transaction, that time maybe bank used to call you, or bank used to try to make like have a good confirmation from your side. So whatever the transaction is happening from your side, is it you or someone else? So these are the cases outliers are basically helping you. So you have to understand your problem again, and according to that you have to take care of your outliers, right? So but normally its outliers affects the mean and the standard deviation of the data, and the most of the machine learning technique does not perform good with outliers, right? So this is basics about what is outlier. Now, okay, now we will talk about what is interquartile range. So interquartile range divide the dataset into quartiles to measure the variability and the spread of the dataset. Now if we look at what is the thing we have talked about, the missing value, we talked about outliers, now we are talking about interquartile range. All are we using to understand our data in a more perfect way. So if you know if what is the outlier you have, what are the particular column you have with the outlier, everything is nothing but going to give you a proper idea about your data set. Now if we talk about interquartile range divides the data set into total four parts, right? Those parts are known as the quartiles to measure the variability and the spread of the dataset, right? Now if you want to split the dataset into four equal parts in a sorted manner, so the first, second, third quartiles are known as first quartile, second quartile and third quartile, right? And for the first quartile it's 25th percentile of the dataset, for the Q2 it's 50th percentile of the dataset, for the Q3 it's a 75th percentile of the dataset. And the formula for interquartile range we have, that is third quartile minus first quartile, right? We will do this part as well to understand how to treat our outliers, right? For the quartile there is a interquartile range, there is a upper limit and the lower limit. Lower and the upper limit in the quartile basically range the data points lie, right? So basically we try to clip our data or to bound our data with the lower limit with the upper limit to avoid the outliers, right? We will show how to actually work with the outliers, how can you clip your data to remove the outliers you have in your data set, right? So for the formula to find the lower limit equals to quartile 1 minus 1.5 into IQR, that is interquartile range. And to find the upper limit, we use quartile 3, third quartile, plus 1.5 into interquartile range, right? So this is pretty much about interquartile range, and we have talked about the outlier. Any doubt till so far, guys? Whatever we have completed so far, then we will talk about the hypothesis testing and we will go for our demo part. Any doubt till so far? Is just a quick confirmation from you guys if you have any doubt. And guys, if you want to get all the presentations, all the code, all the data set we have talked so far, we are going to use so far, everything you will get in Great Learning Academy. Right here you can go for this particular course and register from here, and you will get every material. And if you again want to go for direct link, our moderator is sending the direct link for that as well, so you can use that as well, right? Any doubt till so far, guys? Yes, Shashank, I will show you how to detect outliers, right? So for that you have to keep tuned. I will show you on the code file itself, right? So what is hypothesis testing? So hypothesis testing is basically used to test the assumption which is taken based on observation and experiments. Suppose you are going to say there is a chance of being diabetic when you are after 40, right? So whenever you are taking an assumption about your data set, you have to prove it, right? So proving it is known as hypothesis testing, right? So there is two part in the hypothesis testing. One is null hypothesis, one is alternative hypothesis. So what is null hypothesis? Null hypothesis always used to accept the fact. Suppose you said being diabetic is after 40 is the highest probability, right? So your null hypothesis is going to say, okay, whatever you are saying, this is right. But no, this is not the way the statistics works. There is a cross options will be there, that is known as alternative hypothesis. This alternative hypothesis is used to contradict the assumption, right? So if you say, okay, the 40 is the age of being diabetic, you can understand from the data set, that time your alternative hypothesis will say, hey, prove me that whatever the assumption you have taken about your data set, this is true. That time we use a concept called p-value. So we understand, or we try to understand, or we try to support or reject the assumption we have taken about our data set based on the p-value. So p-value is used to support or reject the null hypothesis or the assumption. So p-value is the basically strong evidence to reject the null hypothesis. So null hypothesis, rejecting null hypothesis, basically whatever the assumption you have taken, it's going to be reject based on p-value. If p-value is less than 0.05, then we accept our null hypothesis. So if you see whatever the assumption you have taken, for that particularly p-value is less than 0.05, you can say we are going to use, or we are going to accept whatever the assumption you have taken for your data set, right? So this is pretty much about what is hypothesis testing, what is null hypothesis, what is alternative alternative hypothesis, right? So now we will have a look at the demo for exploratory data analysis for Indian education system, right? Any doubt for the theory part till so far, guys? Because here I am going to use this particular part, but one thing, guys, I am going to use Google Collab. So how many of you have idea about Google Collab? Because I just want to have a good understanding that, okay, if you have an idea about Google Collab, then I will not ask you so many questions. But if you don't have, then I will show you how to import your data, how to get started with Google Collab. And also we have a tutorial on Google Collab. You can check that out, right? So if you can give me a quick heads up on how many of you have idea about Google Collab. Okay. Shashank, I suppose you do. You are saying yes, I do. Basically, for you have idea about Google Collab. Kashyap is saying I do have idea about Google Colab. I know. Francis saying no. Okay, so I can see there is a mixture of some of you have idea about Google Colab, some of you don't have idea about Google Colab. So basically, let me just show you. Google Colab is nothing but is going from Google itself, providing by Google for AI researchers. If you are an AI researcher, okay, so again guys, if you don't have idea about Google Colab, then please go to our Google Colab tutorial. It will help you to get start with Google Colab. But the basic part, I am going to give you a few 1 minutes idea how to start with Google Colab. Then if you want to learn more about the features we have in Google Colab, it's basically for the AI researchers, which is provided by Google, and it's help you to do lots of things when you have a high computational power, math, code. That time it's basically going to help you, right? So in this case, this is how you will start with. Here you will just need to click on new notebook. Your notebook will be there. You don't need to install anything. For the case of any IDE, integrated development, if you want to use, that time you have to install Python, but in this case you don't need to use Python, right? Alright, so yeah, this is all about pretty much about Google Colab. Now we are going to use a particular dataset from Kaggle, Indian School Education Statistics, and we are going to do the EDA on this particular, dataset. So if you want to download the dataset, you just need to go to Kaggle, and here you can see there is a download option. You can directly download it, right? And at any way you will get all the material on Google Great Learning Academy here. So here I have already provided the data set. I have provided the code file plus the presentations, right? So I hope it will, like, you can start with whatever the new project we are doing today. So we can start with after the session itself. So any doubt till so far guys for Google Colab, for how to get the material and everything? If you don't have, then I will show you how can you upload your data in Google Colab, right? So uploading data in Google Colab, you just need to do one thing. Click over here, right? And from here you will get an option of upload the session storage. So basically this session storage, it will be stay for you for 12 hours. After 12 hours, what will happen? It will remove everything, right? So as it's going to give you GPU and TPU, so GPU and TPU features. So that's why after 12 hours everything will be deleted by Google. So whatever work you have done or you are going to do in Google Colab, try to save it, right? So here if you just click over here, it will go to your directory or your local system, and from wherever you try to want to upload your dataset. So these are my dataset I am going to upload, right? So this dataset you will get from Kaggle itself. If you see this, if you just download, you will get all this dataset, right? And we are going to take two particular dataset today. One is we are going to take dropout ratio, and one we are going to take the schools with girls toilet, right? Any doubt for the dataset? Any doubt for Google Colab? Because after I will start the demo, I will not entertain any question for Google Colab or any question where will I get the dataset, right? That's why I'm asking you so many times guys, if you have any doubt for Google Colab or any doubt for dataset, where you will get the dataset, I am explaining it for 4 to 5 times, right? Any doubt till so far? Okay, I cannot see any doubt. So here we are going to use two particular library for data manipulation, loading the data. One is going to use NumPy. NumPy is basically nothing but numerical Python, right? Siddhartha, can we deploy in Google Colab? I never tried to deploy in Google Colab. Maybe you can, but always deploying. If we actually deploy, that time we need to deploy. I use Anaconda to deploy most of the cases. Vaishnavi, we do have a session. We actually had a session on Kaggle. If you want, our moderator is going to check, like send you the link. for Kaggle. So basically Kaggle is nothing but an open platform where you will get the data set. There are lots of competition used to happen, and you can actually participate on those competition, and you can start your understanding with data science. And after completing those projects, right, you can add those in your CV as well. It will always make a add-on to your CV, right? This is a pretty much short about Kaggle. You can understand for time being. Now we are going to use one particular function to read a particular data set. So we have a, if you go here, right, here you will see where we have actually loaded the data set. Here you will get a option, click over here and just copy the path. So after copying the path, if you just need to read the CSV file, you are going to use .read CSV function from pandas, and here you just need to give the dataset path, right? Let me just give that. Yes, for you can see for the variable dropout we actually done. Okay, I did not. Okay, so basically I have imported pandas, and after that I have used .read CSV function to read, or to understand, to actually go through our comma separated file, which is known as dropout ratio. Now if you want to see the first 5 rows of your data set, how to do that? You just need to write dropout dot head, right? If you just write dropout dot head, you will get your data set where you have columns where you have the data. So what are the columns we have? If you want to check what are the columns you have in your data set, that time you can use dropout dot columns function. So this is nothing but going to return you all the columns you have in your data set. You can see in my data set I have column called state UT, year, primary boys, primary girls, primary total, upper primary boys, upper primary girls, upper primary total, right? Then secondary boys, secondary girls, and so on. So basically you have the data for each and every part, right? Now if you want to see what are the null value you have, suppose you need to understand the missing value. So for the missing value, how to do that? There is a function called .isNA function. So .isNA function is basically help you to understand, if you have any null value or you don't have a value for a particular column, right, or a particular row. So it's basically help you to understand that. So in that case it's going to give you true or false. Okay, so suppose you have, suppose you want to check that is there any null value you have in your data set. So if you just write dropout.isNA, it's going to give you for each and row and column, but it's really difficult for you to understand, to look at false, 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 maybe there are some true, you will just missed it. So that time if you just write dropout.isNA.any function, that time it's going to sum it up for you. For particular each and every column, it will check is there any null values is there. It's a there, then it's going to give you true. If it's not there, it's going to return you false, right? So this is how we can check the missing value in our data set. Any doubt till so far, guys? Any doubt for understanding the any value, any understanding for trying to find it out the missing values, anything, any doubt? If you don't have, then we will go for going for some other part. Okay, I cannot see any doubt. Okay, right. So what we are going to do now, we are going to do what? We are going to say some of the particular state. So suppose we are going to take a state of West Bengal. I want to store the data for West Bengal from dropout ratio. So in that case I have taken a variable called data WB, from where we have written dropout, and we have said dropout of state UT equals to West Bengal. So what we have done, if we have any particular state, right, if we have the particular state UT, Yes, Shashank, we can use is null dot sum as well. So it will return you what is the sum of your null value in the data set, right? You can use is null dot sum as well, right? So in this case, you can see, yeah, so in this case you can see what I have state ut equals to West Bengal, right? So I have said, hey, if in my column called state ut have equals to West Bengal, then please store all the data in data wb, right? Okay, so this is about when we try to store all the data from West Bengal. Now, if you just want to check what we have got in data WB, so let me write over here, right? So what we have, basically we got three particular row, right? 104, 105, 106, that is state equals to West Bengal, year equals to 2012, 12 to 13, 13 to 14, 14 to 15, and this is the data we get, right? Now if you just try to have all the data, all the data info, and if you just try to understand all the column, like all the column you have, what is the data type for that column, if you just write data wb, what we have dot info. So info function is nothing but it's going to again return you what is the type of your column and is there any null value you have in your column or not. So you can see for all of the cases the data type is object, but I want to have all of them as a float value, because if you don't have the numerical value you cannot do the analysis. That time you can see, if I just look out the dropout primary boys dot values, here this is type of object type, but there are lot of inner values you can see. Maybe when you go for using isNA, or you can go for isNA.any.sum, right, you cannot see there is any null value. But if you look into the data set, if you go deep in the data set, you can see these inner are nothing but the what, these inner are nothing but yeah, this inner are nothing but the missing values. Now you have to replace this inner, because if you want to do the analysis with inner you cannot do that. In that case what you need to do, you have to do just replacing. So we are going to use a function called dot replace function, where we are going to replace inner with 0, right? So basically most of the cases maybe we try to replace the nan values or the missing values with median, because median is the least affected by the outliers, but few cases we actually replace with 0 as well, right? So in that case you can see we have replace inner with 0, right? Now we are going to use what, we are going to change this primary boys to what, float, right? So here we have used the lambda function. We have done what, we have written dropout primary boys dot apply. We have used a function called dot apply, where we have written lambda of x. You are actually taking all the like one by one rows from this primary boys, that is x will have, and it will change it to float x, right? So the way actually our lambda function works, the same thing we have done for primary girls, upper primary boys, every one of them. If we have any nan value we will replace it with 0, and then we have changed all of them in float, right? Now we are going to do what, we are going to describe our data set. So we are trying to understand what is the description we have for our data set. Now if you just look, if I just write this dropout dot describe, what I have the count of our data set, what is the total count we have, then what is the mean of our data, then the standard deviation for a particular column, then minimum value, right, then 25% quartile, 50% quartile, 75% and max, right? So this is how we have used, like this describe function basically help us to have a good understanding of of the data set. Now if you have a continuous value in your data and if you get minimum value as 0, you can say, hey, the data set is not without null values or missing values, because if your continuous value cannot be 0. So in this case we can have 0, but they are continuous values, but primary boys, yeah, it can be 0, but primary girls, yes, it can be 0. But when you have NR or NAND, that time you can be more sure that you have missing values, right? So this is, now if I just write dropout.info, you can see most of the cases what we got, we have changed our data type for the columns of float 64 or float 32, right? So this is how we have changed the data set, changed the column data type, right? Now if you just try to understand the count plot, so in this case we are going to use two more library. Let me just show you. Right, so basically here for like for the data visualizations we are going to use two particular library, that is matplotlib and seaborn, right? So we have used matplotlib.pyplot as plt and seaborn as SNS, right? Now if we just try to understand the count plot, so we are going to use a count plot from seaborn, which is nothing but going to group your data. So we are going to use the state ut, whatever the state we have. So according to that, if you just try to understand the count plot for that, so you can see the like you know this is something Bihar, Chandigarh, Delhi, Goa, Gujarat, it's Haryana, it's coming, right? But you have to make a figure size big, because it's not going to come. That's why I did not make the big figure size. You can see, but here there is a overlapping, but you can see in the count plot it's basically group the data for Bihar, it's group the data for Chandigarh, it's group the data for Goa, it's group the data for Gujarat, Haryana, Kerala. You have what I can see, you have Nagaland, Odisha, then Pondicherry, Punjab, Rajasthan, Sikkim, Tamil, right? For all of them your data is grouped using count plot, right? Now if you just look at the bar plot to have an understanding of primary girls versus here, so you can see there is 2013 and 2013, 14 and 2015 there is a hike, right? From 2012-13 to 2014-15. So for the year basis we can see for the primary girls ratio is actually increasing, right? So girls are coming towards, not the coming, this dropout ratio, right, for primary girls are high, as this data set for dropout ratio for your particular sorry, for the particular data for 2013 to 2014-15 there is a hike that the girls are dropping out school, right? So here we have done the dropout again year for boys. So here you can see the boys dropouts is not that much here as well, right? So yeah, this is how you can understand your data in a more proper way using this data visualization particular part, right? Now if you just try to understand the data description, or not the data description, data distribution, we used histogram, right? So you can see plot.hist, so we use .hist function to plot a histogram. Yes, Shashank, we can do that. Declare rotation in X, yes, you can do that. So histogram we have done to understand our data distribution. For HS secondary girls, you can see this is your data distribution for HS secondary girls column you have in your data, right? So this is something to understand your data. Now if we go and talk about the outliers we have in our data, we use box plot, right? So here also we have used a function called .boxplot from seaborn, and you can see for all the columns you have little bit of outliers. If you have this dot, right, you can see these are the outliers of your data set. Now if you just want to get out of the outliers, what you need to do, we are going to use a dot cleave function over here. You can see we have used a dot cleave function, and for the lower range, quartile range, we have taken 0.05, and for the higher we have taken 0.95, right? We have done for all the column, we can see there is a outlier. So after clipping your data, basically nothing but you have clipped your data in a range. So you can see after that, if you just use the same box plot, you can see there is no such dots are there, so it not showing any outliers in your data set. So this is the way we have actually treat our outliers in the data set. But again, it's a basic note, not all the cases we try to manipulate our outliers, right? Yes, so this is all about pretty much about the EDA we have done so far, and on the Indian education system. And we try to understand that what is the dropout for the girls for from the 2013 2014 15, and also we have understand few statistical terms about the being a data scientist to do the exploratory data analysis. I hope this session is basically help you to start with that, and please do let us know if you have any doubts. We will love to help you to do that. Shashank, clip function basically used for clipping your data. Okay, so basically if you want to give a boundary for your data set, that time we go for using dot clip function, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this particular session, also get to learn few new things about statistics. So yes, we are going to wrap up today's session over here. Thank you so much guys, thank you for your support, and please do like the session, and please do let us know about what new thing you want to learn for us. And if you want to get updated with the new content from Great Learning, please do subscribe Great Learning. Thank you so much.